If you're thinking about buying a franchise, let me lie to your face. We're very selective about who we bring into our franchise family. You'll be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Our franchisees love us. Just talk to them. You've heard all these lines. They sound professional. They sound trustworthy, but here's the truth. These are carefully crafted sales pitches designed to hide what's really going on inside a franchise, and I'm here to expose it. So today, I'm gonna expose the 5 most common lies franchisors tell and what they're really hiding in their business. I'm Karam, the 20-year battle-tested lawyer and entrepreneur. I've handled litigation involving franchises and involving small businesses. I've seen fraud. I've seen breach of contract claims. I've seen all sorts of owners get deceived into buying businesses and all sorts of things because they really didn't understand what was going on and they didn't know what to ask. And when it comes to franchising or considering a franchise, what you need to know is this. Most of what franchisors tell you during the sales process isn't technically illegal. It's just strategically misleading, just like most sellers of businesses. They use language that sounds empowering, supportive, and selective, but it's designed to make you feel special and override your skepticism. They're there to make irresistible offers. So today, I want to break down the 5 most common lies franchisors tell you or they avoid telling you and show you what they're really hiding behind each one of those lies, so at least you understand the playing field. That's what it's all about. Here's lie number 1. When they say something like we're very selective about who we let in, what does that really mean? What are they really saying? We're not just looking for anyone. We want the right fit. We're building a family of like-minded entrepreneurs. Not everybody gets approved. This is all salesy. And why does it sound good? Because it makes you feel special, like you're being chosen, like this is some exclusive opportunity. But what they're really hiding is the fact that most franchisors will approve almost anyone who can afford the franchise fee. Let's be serious. Here's why. The franchisor's business model is basically selling franchises and collecting upfront fees. Then they need volume and they don't really care about your success. They just want the fee, right? They need to sell as many franchise units as possible to hit their revenue targets. The selective language is a sales tactic. It's not really a filter. And how do you really test this? You gotta ask the franchisor some important questions, right? Ask them what percentage of applicants do they approve versus reject, right? And if they say something like, well, we approve about 90 to 95% of applicants, then they're not selective. They're just making sure that you can pay the fee. And that's kind of what they probably only care about. So you have to also ask, what are your disqualifying criteria? What would cause you to reject an applicant? And if they give you vague answers like not a cultural fit, not aligned with our values, that's code for we'll almost approve anyone. So what are they really hiding here? They're hiding the fact that their revenue model depends on selling franchises, not on building a network of successful franchisees, and you don't want to be a part of that. If they were truly selective, they'd have a rigorous vetting process, a high rejection rate, and they'd prioritize quality over quantity. And some do, but most really don't. Let's be serious. So the bottom line is, don't let that selective language make you feel special and dupe you. It's a sales tactic. It's designed to lower your guard. So here's lie number 2. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. They say that this is your business. You're the owner, you're the boss, but we'll be there to support you every step of the way. And it sounds good. It sounds good to the ears. It sounds like the perfect balance of freedom and support. I get to do what I want to do and they're there for me. I get entrepreneurship without the risk, right? Independence with a safety net. That's what it sounds like to me, but what are they really hiding? They're hiding that you carry all the risk, but the franchisor controls all the power and they can pull the strings out whenever they want. So let me break down what this phrase really means. You're in business for yourself. That means you own the business entity. You invest your money. You take on the debt. You're liable for lawsuits, leases, and payroll. So if the business fails, you lose everything, but not by yourself. It means that we control the brand, we control the operations, we control the vendors, we control the systems, we control the marketing. You follow our rules and they're tough rules or we terminate you. So the legal reality is this. You're not an employee, so you don't get employee protections and you don't get that employee check. And you're not a true independent business owner. You're not a real entrepreneur because you can't make your own decisions. You're not building your own brand. You're somewhere in the middle, and that's where the franchisor wants you to be. So what are they really hiding from you? Well, they're hiding the fact that you have very little freedom. They don't just say that. You can't change the menu or the product line. You can give some input, but nobody cares. You can't set your own prices. You can't hire who you want in some systems. You can't negotiate with different vendors. You don't have creative liberty. You can't market in ways that aren't pre-approved. You can't sell the business without their approval. You can't take on partners without their approval. You own the entity, but you don't own the brand, and you don't control the operations. So how do you test this? How do you really figure out? You ask the franchisor, what decisions can I make without getting approved from corporate? Ask them this too. If I want to change whatever it is, what's the process? You're going to learn quickly how much autonomy you really have, and it's not going to be much at all, because the bottom line is, in business for yourself but not by yourself sounds empowering, but it's code for, listen, you take the risk, we keep control. So here's line number 3, and it's a big one. Our item 19 shows our franchisees' performance. What does that really mean? What are they really saying? They're saying that we're proud to share our financial performance data with you. So item 19 in the FDD shows you what our franchisees are earning. We cover that in another video, but why does that sound good? Sounds like it's transparent, like they're giving you real data so you can make an informed decision. But what they're really hiding is item 19 is often cherry-picked, incomplete, and sometimes it can be misleading. And that's not good. Here's how franchisors manipulate item 19. Here's tactic 1. They only show you gross sales, not profit. You see average gross revenue, 1.2 million. Wow. But after expenses, fees, rent, payroll, and everything else, the owner might only take home $50,000. So the FDD doesn't have to disclose net profit. So they don't. Why would they? Tactic number 2 is they exclude failures. Like item 19 only includes franchisees who are operating during the reporting period, and that's important. So if a franchisee failed and they closed before the data was compiled, they're not included in that data. So in essence, you're often only seeing the survivors, right? Not the full picture. And what's tactic number 3? That's when they include company-owned stores. Some franchisors include their own corporate-owned locations in the item 19 data. Corporate stores often have better locations. They often have more resources. They're often subsidized operations. So the performance data looks better than what a real franchisee's true experience would be. And tactic number 4 is they use selective time periods. They might show you data from a particularly strong year or a very strong quarter or what have you and present it as average performance. So what they're really hiding is the fact that most franchisees are not making the kind of money that you're gonna think they are, and this can be misleading. So how do you test all this? You gotta ask the franchisor some questions. You gotta ask them, does item 19 include all franchisees or only certain locations? Does it include company-owned stores? You should know that. How about asking, what's the median net profit after all expenses, not just gross revenue? How about asking to see a breakdown of the top 25%, the middle 50%, and the bottom 25% of all performers? And if they won't answer this, or if the data's vague, that's a red flag, I'm sorry to say. Item 19 is not a guarantee. It's a marketing tool, and you gotta treat it with skepticism and ask follow-up questions. So line number 4 is we'll give you full training and support. So what do they typically say? They say something like, you'll receive comprehensive training before you open. And once you're operating, we'll be there to support you every step of the way. And it really sounds good, sounds exciting, you feel confident. It sounds like you're buying into a proven system with an ongoing mentorship, and they'll be there holding your hands. But what they're really hiding is the fact that training might mean a 2-day crash course. Support might mean a PDF manual and an email address that nobody really monitors. So here's what training and support often looks like in reality. Training could be 3 to 5 days at corporate headquarters. You're gonna watch videos, you're gonna read manuals, and you're gonna shadow someone for a day. That's really it, and then you're just jumping right into the business. Now, what about support? What does support mean? The support means a field consultant who's responsible for 150 plus franchisees is gonna be talking to you. A generic operation manual you get. An email support system that takes 3 to 5 days to respond to. Maybe a quarterly check-in call. Who knows? But what you're not getting is hands-on help when you're struggling. You're not getting a mentor there. You're not getting marketing expertise. You're not getting legal counsel. You're not getting financial coaching. You're not getting real-time problem solving. You're not getting any of that. So what are they hiding? They're trying to hide the fact that once you open, you're honestly and mostly on your own. The support is minimal. The training is generic. And if you call asking for help, you'll be told to refer to the manual, and they'll tell you exactly where to go read it and that kind of stuff. So how do you test this all? What do you ask the franchisor? Ask them, how many days of training do franchisees receive before opening, right? That'll give you a good idea. Ask them, what does ongoing support look like? How often will I hear from my field consultant? How many field consultants do I get? And how many franchisees does each one support? That'll tell you if they're spread thin or not. You can also ask, what happens if I need help outside of normal business hours? What about asking current franchisees some questions? Ask them, how would you rate the training you received? Did it prepare you for reality? How about asking them when you needed help? How long does it take to get a response? Are they good at supporting you? Do you feel supported by the franchisor, or are you just figuring things out on your own? You're gonna get very different answers than what the sales pitch promises. I can bet that. So the bottom line is full training and support is often just enough to get you open. And then you're on your own like a typical business. What about lie number 5? That these franchisees love us, just talk to them. Like, that's deceptive. And I'll tell you why. Because don't just take our word for it. We'll connect you with current franchisees so you can hear their stories firsthand. Sounds good. It makes you feel good. But are you getting set up? It sounds like you're getting unbiased peer feedback. Real entrepreneurs telling you the truth, but they're hiding that they're being steered into a hand-picked list of franchisees who will say exactly what the franchisor wants you to hear. And here's how this works, right? The franchisor maintains what's sometimes called a validation list. These are the best franchisees, let's say, a curated group of franchisees who they're happy with the system, they're good at selling the opportunity right, they're incentivized sometimes with fee waivers or other perks to participate. And what's not in there are franchisees who are struggling, franchisees who regret buying the franchise, franchisees who are not having a good time, who are in disputes with the franchisor, franchisees who've left the system. They're not on the validation list. So what is the franchisor trying to hide? They're trying to hide the full story. They want you to talk to the franchisees who will validate your excitement, not the ones who are going to warn you about problems and kill your buzz. So how do we really uncover the truth? Tactic number 1 is ask for the full list. Ask the franchisor, can I have a list of all franchisees, not just the ones you're recommending, so I can choose the ones to talk to? That's a fair request, right? The FDD includes a list of all franchisees in item 20. Use that list and call random franchisees yourself. Tactic number 2 is find former franchisees. Look at item 20 to see who left the system in the last year. Call them. You got nothing to lose. Ask, why did you leave? Would you do it again? What should I know before buying? What was misleading? You'll probably get some brutal, honest answers, and it'll help you make a decision. So tactic number 3 is to use LinkedIn, use the internet, search the brand name, look for people who used to own that franchise, but they don't own it anymore. Reach out to them, cold message them, ask about their experience. You never know, people are willing to talk. Tactic number 4 is to ask better questions during validation calls. Don't just ask them like, do you like the franchise? Ask, if you had to do it over, what would you do differently? What's one thing the franchisor promised that didn't turn out to be true? What's one thing you changed about the business? How about asking how much are you actually making, right? After all expenses and fees. And what about, would you recommend this franchise to your best friend? Like, those are all very good questions to ask franchisees. These questions are getting past the sales script and the typical BS, right? So the bottom line is validation calls are theater. Do your own research and talk to the people the franchisor didn't handpick, the franchisees they didn't recommend it. There's a lot of gold in that information. Here's what you really need to remember from this video. Franchisors are not lying in the legal sense. They're using carefully crafted language to create what I would call a misleading impression, a little deceptive. The 5 lies: we're selective. We approve almost everyone who can pay. In business for yourself, not by yourself. Well, that can mean you take the risk, we keep the control. Item 19 shows performance. Well, that's cherry-picked and incomplete a lot of times. We give you full training and support. Well, that's really minimal help after you open. Talk to our franchisees. Well, we only want you to talk to the ones who we want you to talk to, who's gonna say good things. So these phrases are designed to make you feel confident, supported, and special, but they're hiding the reality. They're hiding that you're taking on massive financial risk with limited control and minimal support. So don't let the sales pitch override your due diligence in everything in life. You gotta scrutinize everything. And that's why I built the Legally Bulletproof Academy and the only business defense system for entrepreneurs. It's meant to help entrepreneurs get their business legally bulletproof and to train you on how to think like a lawyer and identify the risks and threats that affect your business before it's too late. So I have a little gift for you. It's called the Risk Report. You can find out if your business is exposed to legal mistakes, risks, enemies right away by clicking below, answering some questions about your business, and getting a risk report. It's something I would charge $7,500 to do in person as a mastermind, but for you, it's free. If you like this video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, get your risk report by clicking below. I'm Karam, the battle-tested lawyer. This is all about getting you legally bulletproof.